Good, happy Thursday morning, November 19, 2020. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Thursday morning, so let's begin. First up, let's begin with the COVID-19 updates. 447 new COVID-19 cases announced by New Hampshire health officials. 2 additional deaths. And now let's take a look at your coronavirus in New Hampshire key information and data. Let's take a look at that right now. And here is a look at that information for all of you right now. There are 15,749 number of people in New Hampshire have tested positive for COVID-19. 11,517,907 number of people in the United States have tested positive. 504 number of deaths from COVID-19 in New Hampshire. 822 number of people who have been hospitalized with COVID-19 in New Hampshire, and 426 number of deaths from COVID-19 in the United States. And now let's take a look at this map of New Hampshire where current cases of COVID-19 are. In Nashua, 391. And let's take a look at this map of New Hampshire where total cases of COVID-19 are. Nashua, 1660. And now let's take a look at these 3 charts here. Let's start with the first chart here. New cases each day in New Hampshire in the purple, daily new positive COVID-19 cases. In the orange, new hospitalization, and in the red, deaths. Now let's take a look at this chart here. Current cases in the purple, total current COVID-19 cases, and in the orange, current hospitalizations. Let's take a look at this chart here. Total cases in the purple, total positive COVID-19 cases. In the orange, total hospitalizations, red, deaths, and blue, recovered. Let's take a look at this chart here. Positive PCR test rate and daily PCR tests. Let's take a look at this chart here. Age group of cases, female and male of cases, and risk information. Let's take a look at this chart here. Infections, hospitalizations, and deaths. Now let's take a look at this chart here. Deaths, percent of New Hampshire population, race/ethnicity of cases, and hospitalizations. And a reminder, your common symptoms: fever, lack of smell, cough, chills, difficult breathing, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. How it spreads, and prevention tips. And be sure to stay with the Riley King Network for the latest of your COVID-19 information. State vaccine distribution plan prioritizing long-term care facility workers and residents. First responders and high-risk individuals are prioritized as well. Let's take a listen to that video from WR News 9, Amy Cavino.
It's the official tractor of Tough Cab Month at Mahindra. Get great deals on all cab tractors, including 0% interest on...
How do we vaccinate large amounts of people at one time without congregating large amounts of people in one place?
This is the state's vaccination plan for who gets it first and who has to wait. It could be April before there's a vaccine available for the general public.
Things change. I wouldn't get hung up on, like, if I hear this date or that date, that it's going to be magically available.
Phase 1 includes first responders, high-risk health workers, people with underlying health conditions, and older adults living in congregate settings. DHHS is mostly following the guidance from the CDC on these priorities, with one significant exception.
Here in New Hampshire, we would like to also vaccinate the residents up front in that Phase 1A.
The health departments in Nashua and Manchester will have a large role in the Phase 1 rollout because population is another factor in the prioritization of where the vaccines go first.
We will work very hard to get the vaccine out to those who are in most need as soon as possible.
Governor Sununu today sent this letter to President Trump asking to authorize 900 members of the New Hampshire National Guard to work through the end of March to assist. And the Portsmouth Fire Department is certifying 48 EMTs and paramedics on vaccine administration starting next week.
You know, we're firefighters, we're professionals, and, you know, we respond to emergencies and we solve problems. And my staff is, you know, they're all on board, they're ready to go, whatever they need to do to help our community.
Another logistical challenge, storage. The state is waiting for final storage and handling requirements to be released and is strategizing right now on securing adequate freezers. Reporting live this evening, Amy Cavino, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Capitol Center of Arts in Concord, New Hampshire cancels all live performances until next year. Officials say shows canceled to help keep people safe. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Ray Brewer.
The center says it wasn't just the increase in numbers here in New Hampshire, that they also draw patrons from surrounding states, and basically they no longer felt it was safe. Inside the main theater, 300 of the 1,300 seats have been blocked off for social distancing. But even with those precautions, the Capitol Center says they still felt it necessary to hit the pause button. So all live shows have been canceled until January 14th. For performing arts venues, seating limitations were already making things tough.
That makes most shows very financially difficult to perform, both for the artist and for the venues.
We know that a lot of people, a lot of our venues are not going to see the other side of this tunnel. It's very unfortunate, but that's just the reality of how severe this is impacting the art sector.
The center says they're going to continue to monitor the situation. It's possible that additional shows could be canceled. Anderson says one thing that would help immediately is more money from Congress, but what they're hearing out of Washington doesn't make them hopeful. Reporting live, Ray Brewer, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. State health leaders discuss guidance with school nurses with Thanksgiving ahead. Minimal transmission found within schools. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
At Honda, we take the holidays seriously.
On a weekly call with school nurses, state health leaders giving a breakdown of the numbers of COVID cases across schools. 530 people, staff and students in K through 12 have come down with the virus in the last several months, impacting 230 schools. There have been 17 clusters in non-residential schools, with 85 people involved in those clusters, averaging 3 to 8 cases for each.
Despite the hundreds of students and staff with COVID-19 potentially exposing other persons in K through 12 settings, there has been minimal transmission within schools.
And although the state is seeing higher case numbers,
if a school has the staffing and they're maintaining operations with low school impact, despite increasing levels of community transmission, schools can very reasonably, and we encourage them to try and maintain some amount of in-school learning and operations.
DHHS says it will continue prioritizing contact tracing for certain populations, including children, and is considering testing options for staff.
I think it's a very good suggestion that there's a spot for staff to go for testing so that you can get those persons who are symptomatic tested quickly and then not have to wait for the results to come back. So I do know this is under consideration.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Governor Gov Sununu asked Trump for extension of National Guard authorization. Let's take a listen to that video and that report.
Snow piles up quickly. Remove it just as quickly with Kubota subcompact and compact tractor.
Governor Sununu is asking President Trump to approve an extension of National Guard services to help with COVID-19 support. Their status is set to expire on December 31st, but the governor is asking for authorization to extend that to the end of March. He says the Guard has been critical to testing, tracing, and distributing supplies and will play a key role in distributing a vaccine. He's also asking for federal money to support those efforts.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And we have an update on a story that we brought you earlier on in the week about the homeless encampment outside the courthouse in Manchester. Well, officials say the state continues to work with the homeless encampment in Manchester. There is no deadline to clear the site written in stone. Let's take a listen to that video and that report.
At Honda, we take the holidays seriously. With serious style.
The Attorney General's office says the lawn outside the Superior Courthouse in Manchester is state-owned, and right now, it's the state's responsibility to clear the encampment that is formed.
And so we gave a 10-day notice on November 6th. We published the notice. We let the individuals know that we were going to work to find housing alternatives for them, and the service providers have been doing that.
The state says it's been working with outreach service providers to make that happen despite a shortage in shelter beds across New Hampshire.
Ultimately, the property will be cleared. There isn't a deadline that is currently written in stone. The plan is, as it has been from the beginning, to find housing alternatives for these individuals who are there. And in some cases, those housing alternatives may be other encampments. There's no intent at this time for the state to do any arrests. The intent is to move people to housing alternatives that they accept.
City officials in Manchester say they don't feel the state has been communicating their plan and feel left in the dark most of the time.
I don't know what's going on, truthfully. There's nothing been communicated to me, nor our team. We're pretty much just going on rumors.
In the meantime, Fire Chief Dan Goonan says they continue to help in any way they can.
We're trying to, look at people individually and seeing if we can get people into, available beds if there are. If not, kind of meet their needs and try to keep them, quite frankly, alive in the cold weather.
In response to the City of Manchester's concerns about communication, the Attorney General's office says they're keeping them updated as much as they can through this process. Reporting in Manchester, Kristen Carosa, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And thank you for joining us for this morning edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.